Hello, my name is Avery Ray, and our presentation is based on the impact of communication disorders, language and literacy development with a speech-language pathologist in the home and in the schools. To begin, children with speech-sound disorders are at an increased risk for literacy delays. Research supports that receiving targeted phonological interventions from a speech-language pathologist show a greater improvement for both speech production and literacy compared to traditional speech therapy. Other key factors such as family involvement have shown to boost literacy skills as well as emotional bonds. Early childhood teachers may also be key in early literacy intervention. However, due to inconsistencies, clearer guidelines and evidence-based practice is needed. Let's start by looking at the role of the speech-language pathologist. Children with speech-sound disorders are more at risk for literacy deficits and continued issues with literacy development. A helpful framework is the two-factor model, which breaks language into sound and word levels and sentence and discourse levels. This helps us better understand how language and literacy develop in school-aged kids. Phonological awareness interventions in speech therapy show improvements not only in speech sound production but also in literacy skills, helping bridge the gap. In fact, children who receive targeted phonological interventions demonstrate better literacy outcomes compared to those who only receive traditional speech sound therapy. Children with speech sound disorders who received phonological intervention had literacy skills that were on par with typical developing peers. Speech sound disorders intervention that was focused on phonological awareness intervention improved both speech sound production accuracy and literacy skills. Integrating literacy and speech therapy can offer more holistic support for children with speech sound disorders, promoting both speech and reading skills in tandem. To conclude, speech sound disorders can significantly impact a child's language and literacy development, but with early, targeted intervention from speech-language pathologists, strong family involvement, and improved support from educators, children can achieve meaningful progress. Integrating phonological awareness into therapy not only strengthens speech production but also boosts literacy outcomes, helping close the gap with typically developing peers.
When it comes to at-home intervention, there's a lot of positive outcomes that can come from family involvement, especially for children that have speech sound disorders. And they can help by incorporating literacy-based activities into daily routines, such as reading aloud or discussing stories. Parents that are involved in literacy activities can really enhance the parent-child relationship and foster an environment that is conducive to both emotional and academic growth. The frequency of parent-child literacy activities does positively correlate with outcomes in speech and language development, with more frequent interactions leading to better literacy skills. Also, a parent's educational level does positively correlate with the frequency of child literacy activities and the children's perception on the quality of their parent-child relationship. By engaging these children in activities, they develop both sound word recognition and sentence discourse comprehension, which can support their overall language and literacy development. Results suggest that boosting the frequency of parent-child literacy activities may be a useful strategy for facilitating a parent-child relationship.
Hello, my name is Neva Bennett, and I will be talking about the impact of speech sound disorders, language and literacy development within the school districts. School teachers play a crucial role in fostering oral language and emergent literacy skills before formal schooling begins, providing a foundation for future learning. That's specifically in preschools and kindergartens, really before kids are meeting a lot of their peers and really being forced to learn grammatical ruling and stuff like that. I have a quote from specifically the Weidman article, which is titled "The Oral Language and Emergent Literacy Skills of Preschoolers, Early Childhood Teachers' Self-Reported Role, Knowledge and Confidence." That's done in Australia. So in Australia, quote unquote, 22.9% of children begin school with communication skills that are not developmentally on track. And that study came out in 2023. To remedy this, Australian preschoolers preschools have qualified early childhood teachers, also called ECTs, who have a postgraduate accreditation in order to work on language, linguistics, and literacy issues, which also helps students get ahead of the curve. This linguistic therapy is performed because 90% of children go to preschool before entering the typical kindergarten or first grade classroom. So they're really just trying to beat those speech sound conditions before they're really becoming more difficult to the point of SLP intervention. Incorporating phonological awareness and literacy activities in the classroom can help early learners, especially those with speech sound disorders or SSDs, by providing structured support during key developmental stages. Educators should address both sound and word issues, as well as sentence and discourse levels in their teaching strategies to effectively support students' language and literacy skills. It's important to recognize, however, that ECTs are not speech-language pathologists or SLPs, and thus are not kept to the same standard of utilizing evidence-based practice. Of course, not every ECT is that way, but it's not like mandatory like the way it is with SLPs, both here and over there. Some teachers may face challenges in supporting these areas due to gaps in knowledge or even funding about effective oral language strategies, which could hinder early intervention. And then over there, the term literacy isn't standardized among ECTs, so their methods may not be correct because they're not actually working on linguistics the same way that we would be here in the States. And then our conclusion is pretty easy. Supporting children that are in need of intervention for literacy skills requires integrated phonological and literacy-based interventions. Families that play an active role in daily literacy activities improve both language and emotional development, and early education programs can stand to be a strong intervention point. However, there is a clear need for a more standardized, evidence-based practice for early intervention, both in the States as well as in countries like China or Australia. Thank you so much. Have a good day.